Welcome to our first meal prep club. While we're waiting for something to join, I'm just prepping some of my ingredients. Today we are making my lemon white bean soup with turkey and greens. It's a bit of this is one of my absolute favorite soups on the website. It's perfect for people in easy, but it's still packs in 30 grams of protein per serving and 7 grams of fiber, which is amazing if you're trying to prioritize the protein and fiber in 2026. And we wanted to start off the year by doing a soup because one, a soup or a good really done well. And also just because this is perfect, if you want to freeze it, batch prep it for the entire week for lunches, for dinners. But I just thought it'd be a really good start off to the year. Get some veggies in, get some protein in, get some fiber. So if you just want to start prepping some of your ingredients if you haven't already, I already diced celery, onions, carrots, zested my lemon, and got all my spices. Third, this is called mise en place, and this is always one of my top. Just makes it seem a little bit more attainable when you're following the recipe instead of like running around your kitchen trying to find different ingredients, different equipment. It just makes it go a little bit smoother, especially if you're making multiple recipes at once, which a lot of people do when they are meal prepping. So once I chop up this, start making a recipe. I also need to get the we had such trouble finding ground turkey today. I don't know if anybody else did. If they did see me live. But I guess everybody's kind of like starting 2026 off. They want some protein, want some extra ground turkey in their life. We had to go to two different groceries, but we got the absolute last packet in my store at the second store. So we are ready to make this. This should be. She said, "Oh my gosh, I did not like microphone." Sorry, I forgot my microphone.
There's no green light on.
Can you hear me? Say yes if you can hear me. If you cannot hear me, we will troubleshoot. No one's saying yes. Is there normally a green light?
I don't know.
I feel like there's not normally a green light.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we can hear me. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I was so organized for this one. I really wanted it to go smoothly. But okay, we are ready now. But basically, I got my ground turkey. We're making the lemon white bean soup this week. And this is going to be our January monthly meal prep recipe. So if you make this recipe either now or any time at all during the month of January, all you need to do to be entered in our amazing prize pack giveaway with Miss Myers. Miss Myers is my absolute favorite cleaning supply company. I use their multi-surface everyday cleaner all the time. I also love their hand soaps. They're all natural ingredients and they smell amazing. So we're so happy that they wanted to partner with us for this month's giveaway. So if you make this recipe at any point and at all in the month of January, all you have to do to enter is either post a photo of the done recipe in our Substack group chat, which will be linked, or you can just leave a comment on the recipe on my website, nourishedbynick.com, with a rating. Doesn't need to be a good rating, any comments at all that you had. Maybe you didn't like the recipe, maybe you loved the recipe, just let me know and you'll automatically be entered for the giveaway. We always contact the winner by email or messaging on Substack. So make sure that you're checking that around the first week of February and we'll contact you, get all your details, and send you an amazing prize pack that I'm so excited to bring you. So now that we are ready, we are going to start with our pot. I think you can see the pot. If not, we might need to move it over a little. This is a Dutch oven. You can use any large pot of choice. I actually got this one at Costco. I'm obsessed with it. But all you need is a pot. We're going to turn our stove on to medium high, and we're going to add our oil. So the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I'm just going to eyeball it right now until the bottom's covered. This is just going to get hot so that we can saute our mirepoix, which is celery, onions, and carrots, which is what gives flavor to soups. And I absolutely love the smell of it too. Okay. While that is heating up, I'm just going to go grab my ground turkey out of the fridge, and then we'll have everything ready. So my favorite part about doing these meal prep clubs is that I can connect more with people and share some tips and tricks. So for this, my biggest tip whenever I'm prepping soups and know I won't be eating them all in an entire week is I always use super cubes, which is what I did a giveaway for them, I think 2 or 3 months ago. I don't know where ours are. I don't know where they are right now. They might be in the freezer being used, but basically they're silicone containers that you can pop in and out, basically like a large ice cube tray. This pre-portions amounts of soups or stews or whatever you're making, so you can just freeze it and pop it out. I actually got my mom some at Costco that it was a whole pack of them. I think there was 5 or 7, I forget how many in the box, and it was only $50 Canadian, which was such a good price because in Canada the super cubes are like $25 per tray. So definitely hit up Costco if you're looking for them. I don't know if they're still there. This was like late December. Okay, so now that our oil is hot, we're going to add our onions. This is about 1 yellow onion, about 2 cups of onions. So we're going to add this directly into the pot. And we're also going to add our carrot. This is about 1 large carrot, which is about 1.5 cups. And then we are going to add our celery. This is about 3 stalks of celery, about 2 cups. And then finally, we are going to add our garlic. So for this one, we're using 3 cloves of garlic that we just peeled and minced. And if anyone has any questions at all during this, I really want this to be casual this year. I want to try to connect with as many people as possible. If you have any questions at all throughout this, either about the recipe, about nutrition, about meal prepping in general, let me know, because I love doing these and I want to make sure that you're getting as much value out of these as possible. After I'm done making soup today, I'm also going to prep some chia pudding. I won't do it on camera just so I don't keep you for 8 hours. But I am going to prep some chia pudding for my breakfast this week, which will be amazing. You can use the high protein chia pudding recipe on my website if you're looking to do the same.
Someone had to start that this year. Let have to get it type one of this year.
Yeah. That, I think January might be my favorite time to be creating content for Nourished by Nick, because I feel like so many people are so motivated. They're joining the meal prep club. Everybody wants to make a difference. And I think my biggest message is always that it doesn't need to be super complicated. It doesn't need to be a complete overhaul of your life, which I think January can feel very overwhelming. I know this week for me, I've been feeling very overwhelmed. I am going away next week, and I've just been feeling a little out of sorts because I feel like my week, my month, my year doesn't really start until after I get back, but I'm trying my best to get organized, start meal prepping, have things in the fridge that I can easily grab, because I know whenever I get busy, I reach for whatever's in sight whenever I'm hungry, and that might always not be the healthiest choices. So having things like this that are ready to grab makes it so much more likely you'll eat healthier throughout the week. And it's not going to take that much time to make this too, which is amazing. And then you'll have multiple servings, which is great. So now that this is being sauteed, we're going to wait a few minutes. I like to wait until the onions are translucent and they're fragrant. that typically is when you're able to start adding the rest of the ingredients. So since I already have everything else prepped, I will explain what else I have prepped. But I have all of my spices here. So this is 1 teaspoon of salt. So I am reading the recipe at the same time. I have not memorized all the recipes on my website. This is 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a tablespoon of dried oregano, half a tablespoon of dried rosemary, and then red pepper flakes. I just usually do like a little, about like an eighth of a teaspoon. Depends on how spicy you like things. I have all those ready to go, which I will add once those onions are translucent. I've also taken some kale. The recipe calls for about 4 cups of kale. I just grabbed a bag of kale because I was lazy today. I didn't want to deal with the kale stems. You absolutely can just cut it off the stems. But usually what I do, even when I buy a bag of kale that's already pre-cut, I always cut it a little smaller. That's what I was doing at the beginning of the recipe. I find my biggest tip, so many people will comment on my recipes and say they don't like kale. And I'm like, I feel like you're just not eating it right. And I know that seems so cliche, but cutting up kale very small, like this small, and then if you're adding it to a salad, massaging it with oil and salt before you add everything else, or if you're adding it to any recipe, just making sure it's small enough that it will wilt into the recipe is my absolute biggest tip. It makes it so much easier to eat and makes it so much more likely that you'll choke on it or it will get like stuck in your throat or in your teeth. And it makes it softer too, which I think is the biggest thing that people have when they're eating kale when they don't like it. It's usually a texture thing. So just chop it up nice and small. That's ready here. And then for later in the recipe, we've also already zested our lemon and already chopped up about 2 tablespoons of fresh dill. If you don't have fresh dill, you can also use dried dill. I just find the fresh dill gives a little bit more of a fresher flavor. Okay, so these look like they are done.
Someone said, I didn't like kale before either, but I learned that how it's prepped or cooked or seasoned makes all the difference.
Exactly. So somebody just said they didn't like kale before either, but how it's prepped, seasoned, or cooked, it really makes a huge difference. And I completely agree. Like, so many people are like, what's an alternative for kale? And like, yeah, you can use spinach in a salad or arugula.
I think that's like most healthy.
Yeah, that's like most healthy foods. Like broccoli, like people don't like broccoli, but when you cook it with some lemon and Parmesan cheese or just lemon and salt, I love adding some acid to my vegetables. It makes it so much better when you're eating it. And you don't get that weird bland taste. So I think that's our biggest thing for 2026. We're going to focus on adding flavor and making things actually taste good and make them healthy. So now that these are ready, we're going to add our spices. Just add all of them directly into the pot. Stir it around. And if you notice anything's like sticking to the bottom of your pot, we don't want that because then it will burn once we add the broth. So just add a little bit more olive oil. You don't need to go crazy with it. And kind of scrape the bottom of the pot while you're going. Okay, so just stir those around, make sure all the veggies are coated in the spices. And now we're going to create a well in the center. So all the vegetables are at the bottom of the pot. Kind of just use your spatula to like make a little hole or a circle in the middle. You're basically making a wreath. So all the veggies are around the outside of the pot. You have a hole in the middle. And in that hole, we are going to add, we can show it. In that hole, we're going to add our ground turkey meat. Make sure you remove the paper. If you can't find ground turkey, you can also use ground chicken. Ground pork would also be good, or even like ground like sausage removed from the casing. Okay. So break it up using your spatula. And it's okay if some of the vegetables mix in. The size of your pot will make this either easier or harder to keep them separate. Just kind of cook it as much as you can. And the best way to cook this is stirring it pretty consistently because you don't want the bottom of the turkey to burn and then the top still not be cooked. So we're just going to allow that to cook for a little bit. And then once that is done, we are going to add in our beans. So this is probably one of my biggest hacks to adding more fiber to recipes. I always add beans as much as I can. I know not everybody loves beans, once again, like any healthy food, but I find with beans, the key is making sure that you're adding them to things that have a lot of flavor. So in this recipe, my hack for adding more protein and fiber is we're actually going to blend in 1 can of beans with our broth. And it will create like basically a creamier broth that's going to have more protein and fiber, which is amazing. So we'll do that once we finish cooking this ground turkey. So I've already rinsed and drained. These are the beans that I'm using. I'm using white kidney beans. White cannellini beans are also fine. Basically any white bean. I say white beans because 1, they blend in easier, like color-wise, and 2, they have less of a flavor than things like chickpeas or lentils, and 3, they just look nicer in the soup. So these are the ones I'm using. I'm using white kidney beans. I always try to look for no salt added beans if I am using canned beans, which I typically do because it's easier. But I always make sure I rinse them first and make sure all of that like liquid that they're stored in is off of the beans, because that, if you notice any digestive upset when you are eating beans, it is probably because you have either started eating way too much fiber way too quickly without drinking enough water, or because you didn't properly rinse your beans, because that liquid that the beans are stored in just has some like preservatives and things in it that can upset your stomach. So try to rinse them as well as you can. I've already done that. I actually mixed both cans of beans together because I completely forgot that we have to blend it, but it's fine. I will just separate them. So now that this turkey meat is pretty cooked, your turkey meat should be pretty cooked, I believe, as well. This is looking good. It's looking brown. It's not pink anymore, which is exactly what we want. We're just going to allow that to sit for a little bit, maybe decrease the temperature. And then we're going to take our blender. I don't want to get out the really big blender right now, so I'm probably not going to blend it with all the liquid. But we take 1 can of beans that we rinsed and drained. So I'm going to add about a cup. We're adding about a cup and a half because I feel like that's, we'll do 2 cups. So blend 1 can of beans, or about 2 cups of beans, with 2 cups of the chicken broth. And we're just going to blend it until it's nice and smooth. This blender I love so much because it gets everything very smooth, but it's very loud. So hopefully it's not as loud because I have the microphone on, but if it is very loud, I am sorry and I apologize. This is the Our Place blender. I get asked every single time. Here's our super cubes. I found them. I moved them. I completely forgot I moved them. But this is what they look like. They're basically silicone ice cube trays, just large. And these ones are 500 milliliters. So they hold 2 cups each portion, which is amazing if you live alone or live with only one other person and you want to batch prep things like this, but you can't eat 8 cups of soup in a week.
So where
the exact recipe is on nourishedbynick.com. You can find it on the Substack page that's about the meal prep club. You can also find it on the homepage of my website, or also on my stories. It's also linked there as well currently. But if you go on my website, you can just type in lemon white bean soup and it will come up. Okay. I also always, if you were not making it with us directly live, I always link it in the Substack group chat as well. And you can also find it in the Meal Prep Club page that gives you all the about things. Okay, so we have this all in here. We're going to blend it until it's smooth. Once again, I apologize if this is very loud. See how fast that was? And look, it's so smooth. Okay, so now we are going to add this into the soup. See? It was so smooth. There was no chunks. Amazing. And we're adding protein, fiber, and now we're going to add the rest of the broth, which is about 2 more cups. So I always just say these are 900 milliliters, but if you want to just only use one box, that's completely fine. I hate buying additional boxes of broth and only using like this much. Okay, so we added all of our chicken broth. We're going to add the rest of our beans. We don't have to blend these ones, just add them directly into the soup. And then we're going to add the lemon juice. So we're using the juice of 1 lemon. I always like using a lemon juicer because I feel like I'm not strong enough to get all the juice out of a lemon, and this just helps make sure I'm getting it all. I always do recommend, if you have it available to you, I love using fresh lemons and fresh garlic in my recipes because pre-squeezed like lemon juice, like the lemon juice concentrate or pre-minced garlic, it's fine if you're in a pinch, and I would never, like, if that's all that's available to you, don't worry that you can absolutely use it. But it just has a fresher flavor, I find, when you're using fresh lemon juice, and a more strong flavor when you're using fresh garlic. So I would always recommend using that if you have it. Okay, so now we're going to bring this to a boil. So we're going to increase the temperature and then allow it to simmer. I usually allow it to simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. I probably will just speed it up just so we're not just standing here for 20 minutes. But basically, all I'm going to do now is bring it to a simmer, allow everything to marinate, all those spices to really come through, and then we're just going to add in our kale at the end. I try not to add it too early because if you add it before it's boiling, it's all going to kind of like, I would say burn. It's not necessarily burning, it's just like wilting really, really small, and then you're not going to taste it at all. And then we're also going to stir in our lemon zest for extra lemon flavor. This is probably my favorite part. And then also fresh dill, which this is honestly such a good soup for January because it's healthy, it's balanced, but it still has those fresh flavors that I know I'm always craving after the holidays. I feel like I am not somebody that says don't enjoy yourself during the holidays. I love enjoying myself during the holidays. I love all the amazing sweets and like heavier dishes and savory dishes that come out during the holidays. But in the January, I'm always like craving everything fresh and light. And the soup is perfect for that because it's still cozy. Because in Toronto here, we're still getting snow, still freezing. Today's actually a little bit better, but this week has been so cold. So if it's cold where you are too, hopefully this will warm you up. Okay. So I think, does anybody have any more questions about anything while we are waiting for this to at least come to a boiling? I think I'll just bring it to a boiling and then I'll add in everything else. But also, if you have any requests at all for any meal prep club recipes, I know I was going through the requests I asked on my stories last week for anything that you want to see more in 2026. And overwhelmingly, the thing was people wanted more meal prep friendly lunches. So I definitely will be working on that. I think I'm going to try to do a meal prep lunch series, like packable lunches or something fun. I know last year we did a pasta salad, like a protein pasta salad series, which did well. Everyone loved it. I feel like I'm a little pasta saladed out. But maybe we'll bring back some more chicken salads. We'll do a mix of a whole bunch of different things. If you have any specific requests, yeah, Lunchables. I did a few Lunchables before. those also did well. I feel like I always try to do packed lunches. They are hard, and that's why I know more people want them, because they are hard and they're things people struggle with without eating like the same thing every single day. So we'll definitely try to do more of those. We'll try to do more easy dinners. A lot of people wanted more sheet pan meals. Yeah. One thing, if you are looking for an easy dinner, I made this last week. It's my honey mustard sheet pan chicken and broccoli. I make it, that's probably the most made recipe that I make off my website. I make it all the time, and it's always a hit. It's so easy. All you need to do is grab chicken thighs, grab some broccoli and baby potatoes and red onion, and then you most likely will have all the other stuff on hand. It's basically just using some spices, using Dijon mustard, tossing it all together, baking it all, and then you add this amazing Greek yogurt honey mustard sauce. It's so good, and it's always a hit. So highly recommend trying that one this year. Also, my French onion soup chicken, sheet pan chicken. That one was one I made towards the end of last year. I loved that one. It was like something that was a little bit more unique, but so easy. And the flavors are really cozy, which is perfect. Okay. Okay, so I think, I don't know why this is not boiling, but I'm just going to add it all. It's honestly fine. So I'm just going to add in my kale. And I'm going to add in my lemon zest. And I'm going to add in my dill. I was telling Megan before we started, I got Brandon a Japanese knife for Christmas, and it's amazing. It's like the best knife. It's so light. It's also beautiful. It's also so sharp, and we have not used it yet. We are still using our old knives because it scares me how sharp it is, and I think I'm going to cut myself. I am in the market. We're looking for better cutting boards because I don't like our cutting boards. I am willing to invest in a good cutting board. So if anybody has any recommendations, I know I'm normally the one giving recommendations, but if you have any recommendations, definitely let me know. Like, leave a comment right now. Leave a comment if you're watching this not live. But I'm really looking for a good cutting board. I think I'm looking for wood. I think I'm looking for maple or walnut. Or a mix. I would love one of the checkered ones. I just can't find one that I love. Like, I can't find one that has amazing reviews or that seems worth the money. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. Okay, so this is what our soup looks like, and it's done. All you need to do now when you're serving it is add some fresh Parmesan cheese on top. I also like serving mine with some sourdough. That's one of my goals in 2026. I want to start making my own sourdough, so I will keep you updated on that. But this is what the soup looks like. And Megan, if you would like to show it. That is what the soup looks like. If it is, I don't know why I feel like I turned this off or something, but it's not that hot right now, so this kale will wilt into the soup a little bit more. And if you aren't a kale lover, I promise you won't even be able to taste it. It's such a good soup for this time of year. If you make it at any point at all in the month of January, make sure you either take a picture of it and post it in our Substack group chat, or you leave a comment on the recipe on my website, which, as mentioned before, you can just find by going either to my stories right now, going to the Substack Meal Prep Club about page, or just typing in lemon white bean soup on my website, leaving a comment, and you'll be entered in our prize pack, which is filled with Miss Meyer's goodies. I know it has some everyday cleaners. It has some hand soaps. It has
really good smells.
Yeah, we picked really good smells too. You're absolutely going to love it. I wish I could win it. But I hope somebody gets to win it. And yeah, if you have any questions at all, just let me know. I'm always available in my DMs or on Substack. So send me a message, and thank you for coming to our first meal prep club. Bye.